Welcome to Behind the Warrior, a podcast presented by the EOD Warrior Foundation. This series will focus on resources, interviews, and topics impacting EOD warriors, their families, and the military community at large.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Warrior. I am your host, Maria Shabla, and today we are extremely excited to be talking with Katie Hernandez, who is an active duty Army captain and EOD Tech. Welcome to the podcast, Katie.
Hi, so great to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. So, Katie, I'm really excited to talk to you today about what it's like being in a male-dominated career field, such as EOD. But I always like to start the podcast from the beginning. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where did you grow up?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up kind of bouncing all over the place. I was born in LA. I was actually in Jamaica for a little bit,
Wow.
Moved to Buffalo. There definitely jumped around school to school. Parents just had just a very untraditional way of just like upbringing. So, then I went to SUNY Brockport, for college, and I was a kinesiology major and played track and lacrosse. And yeah, that's where I started ROTC.
Oh, wow. Okay, so ROTC is what got you into the military. Was anybody in your family in the military, or were you the first?
No one was in the military. I was the first one to go to college, so this was all new. And I'll never forget, telling my mom, calling her and be like, "Hey, Mom, guess what? I joined the military." She cried. That would have been the first of many times my mom cried. More so like she was like scared, didn't know, but she was still proud.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. And so what made you decide to join the Army?
So I always feel like growing up, there was always a part of me that, I would inevitably end up in the military, whether it was my personality or I'd run around in like Army fatigues. My mom has all these embarrassing photos of me. And then once I got to that age and that decision point, I think I found the military right when I needed to. I needed some order and some discipline in my life. I kind of describe myself as like a pit bull, and like I want to attack things and do things, and I want to, strive for bigger and better. But if I don't have that direction and focus, I'm kind of all over the place. So when I found the military, it was like the perfect fit.
Wow. And so then how did you get into EOD? Did you go straight in, or did you start in a different career field?
So I was branched ordnance, and at the time I had no idea what ordnance was. I just kind of knew that it definitely didn't fit my personality, so I was kind of bummed. I'm definitely more of a hands-on, want to take action kind of person. So we were sitting in Ordnance BOLIC, which is our basic officer leadership course, and a couple of EOD techs walked in, and they're just like, their sales pitch was, if anybody wants to blow shit up for a living, come see us afterwards. And then they walked out. And I don't know if it was like their swagger or demeanor or, but I was just like, I don't know what, EOD really is, but they seem cool and I want to do cool things. So later found out what EOD was, and then it became a whole nother, inspiring, like that's what I wanted to do. It's funny how life kind of pushes you in those directions, not knowing what's to come, but everything kind of worked out.
Yeah. That's a common story I hear about people, like how they got into EOD. And it's a lot of times they see EOD techs either like doing their job or meet them and they're like, they're cool. I want to learn more about it. And then it just like opens this door for them, to a new career. So that's funny. It's a neat common theme I see. Well, congratulations on your recent promotion to major.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about your career thus far?
Yeah, so let's see. The Army's been very good to me as far as duty location goes. I've been stationed in Richmond, Virginia, Eglin, Florida, Hawaii for a few years, Nashville, Fort Campbell, and now I'm currently in Boca Raton, Florida, as an ROTC instructor, getting ready to head back to conventional Army in July. So a few more months, I'll be heading back that way. But the highlights, that looking back on the last 10 years or so, being a lieutenant in Hawaii, that was incredible. Just kind of learning from some of the most talented individuals in the career field, like me being young and bright-eyed and just like wanting, eager to learn. And then, but definitely the highlight was when I was a company commander for the 717. I was a commander for 2 years out of Fort Campbell, and it was indescribable. To have such an amazing experience in command. I'll never have a job like it again. Even on the bad days, like I would take the bad days in command over anything else. There's just something special about the 717. We were the Joker's Wild. We were this, tight little family, maybe 32 of us at the most. And it was just cool to see the personality that the company took on over the course of those 2 years. So,
wow, that sounds awesome. Now, you recently set the women's world record for mile run in the bomb disposal suit in 2021. And you did that by running the mile in 10 minutes and 23 seconds, beating Army First Lieutenant Ashley Sorensen of the 303rd, I don't know if I said that right, EOD Battalion in Hawaii. So what motivated you to beat that record, and how does it feel for you to hold that record now?
So from the beginning, Ashley Sorensen, she was my mentor. So when I was a brand new lieutenant in Hawaii, she was my mentor going in there. And I remember being in Hawaii and, seeing her, get that record. How amazing was that? Definitely she was an inspiration to me as a female for sure. We played rugby together. We were very close. And then some years later, fast forward to me being in command, I saw, I think it was an Instagram post pop up and was like, hey, if anybody's interested in, taking the women's world record for the bomb suit run, apply here. So I started looking into it and realized that Ashley still had it. And that was a few years back at that point. So I was like, all right, it's time. And I reached out to her. I was like, hey, Ashley, I think I'm going to try to take that record from you. So she knew from the beginning, and she was actually at the run, which made it special.
Wow.
Trained up for about a year. And my first sergeant, John Myers of the 717th at the time, he was one of my biggest supporters throughout the process. So that was a really cool thing to do as a command team. He helped me get in my bomb suit for training days. He helped pace me every Friday, rain, wind, snow, 90 degrees. So yeah, a lot of my success from not only commanding the 717th, but as well as, getting the world record, like I attribute it a lot to him. So.
Wow. Well, that's neat. That's a great shout out. So that's kind of interesting to me because I didn't think that, what was that you saw on social media? Who was that? Somebody within the Army or somebody within the military that was wanting to help somebody beat the record? What is that?
Gosh, I don't even remember who it was now. It's so funny. I worked with a lot of great organizations during that time. And it was one of them, and the focus, the main organization that I worked with back then was an organization called Get Headstrong, very much in alignment for what I kind of do with a lot of my spare time, which is focus on mental health and suicide prevention within our community and veterans, first-line responders. It's something that hits close to home for me. And so when I started to see that, so it wasn't just about the run, the record was cool and everything, but the awareness and the funding that we were able to raise during that time, it made it so much bigger.
Yeah, it made it more meaningful. Now, that kind of leads right into my next question. So you recently returned from the Human Performance Project 7X World Tour, which is a collaborative effort of Navy and Army special warfare operators, professional extreme sports athletes, elite medical professionals, and human performance specialists who are dedicated to prevent veteran suicide and improve public health. So can you tell us about that trip and what it meant to you to be part of it?
Oh my gosh. So this is actually the first time like I'm being recorded talking about this project.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I knew you were going to ask this question. And I'm still like, okay, find the words, find the words. Um, so yeah, I was approached in towards the end of the summer, right? Right when it was starting to get a little bit colder, and I get a call saying from a friend, my friend Zach, former Green Beret.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got invited on this project called the 7X Project. We're going to do 7 continents in 7 days. What are your thoughts? You want to do this? And I was like, what? I was like, are you serious? Like, I'm not sure what I said, but it was something along the lines of like, you're kidding. Like, what? And I was like, when is this happening? And like, what do we have to do? And he's like, okay, we have to raise $100,000 each.
Ooh, that's a lot of money.
Yes, and we have to do it by February. And I was like, oh, February of like the following year. At the time, it was like November or something. And I was like, there's no way February in 2 months. Like February in a year in 2 months. And he was like, no, like in 2 months. And I was like,
wow. All
right, Zach, how are we going to do this? How are we going to pull this off? So yeah, once we got the green light and I talked to Ryan Parrott, that's his, he's the founder of American Extreme, and he was the one that set up, 7X Project. Once I got that green light, it was like, all right, we're all in, we're going to do this. So Zach and I, we worked so hard for months. Like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to raise the money? How are we going to, get donors? And, it's a little bit uncomfortable asking for donations, but the thing that I kept reminding myself of was, why are we doing this? Where's this money going? And so I always had comfort in like, yeah, I was asking for donations for the project, but it was all going to incredible causes and something that like I truly believe. I remember calling Zach and be like, Zach, this is happening. We got our tickets. We're this is my seat on the plane. So like, we know we're going. And it's still, even just, flying to South Africa, we started in Cape Town. It was still so unreal that we were all there. And there was 62 of us on the trip. And like you said, you just kind of gave a great rundown of everybody that was there. But I really categorized 3 groups of people. So there was, you had the marathon runners who were running marathons in every country, in every continent. And they were incredible. They were just like so dialed in and what they were doing, and, knowing that they had this incredible feat in front of them. And then we had our medical staff, and, we had our nutrition and our physical therapists, and we had doctors, and we had like incredible, support team there. And then we had like the cool guys, I call them. They were like the skydivers and the base jumpers at extreme sports, the junkies. So, and, so right when we got there, Ryan Parrott, he sat us down in a room and basically was just like, listen, when you interact with people in this room, these aren't just like normal people. Everybody in here has a story. Everybody in here is like that 1% of 1%. And, that kind of set the tone, and you start to like let it sink in about like who's in this room, and throughout, the 7 days, it just being around these people, you just want to be a better person. The influence that they had in a week on my life so far has been astronomical. Like it's hard to even put into words the amount of just resilience that was on this trip. And, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to find the words. It's been like, over a month now, and it's still just incredible,
just, like
that whole experience.
Yeah. I think when extraordinary events happen in people's lives, I think it takes time to process it. So, it'll probably be years, from now that it really does like sink in that was part of your journey. And that's just amazing. I love that you did that. So I'm kind of trying to wrap my brain around what it looked like. Like, did you guys have an audience? Was it, or were you filming it, or how did it kind of play out?
Yeah. So we had a 200 passenger plane that we chartered, and that all 62 of us, that's basically where our home was for that week. And we would show up in countries, and we would get off the plane in force. There's 60 plus of us, all this luggage. I had my bomb suit.
Wow.
I traveled with my bomb suit because I ran a mile in a bomb suit on every country.
Oh, okay. That was the piece I was missing. Okay. Wow.
So just like all this stuff. In some countries, like welcomed us with open arms, and there's some countries that were like, what is happening? And we were like, we don't really know, but let us in, please. So we would get off the plane. The cool guys would go do their jumps. The marathon runners would start their run. I would kind of fall into the fold somewhere and do my bomb suit run. With the support of so many people, and like whether it was people just on the 7X project or locals. We would meet up with local military in some countries, and they would come and run with us, which was pretty amazing. So then we would, get what we needed to do done. We'd have, some type of dinner, get together at the end, and then we were on the plane and off to the next location. So we weren't anywhere more than like, I don't know. It was all less than a day, obviously, one continent per day. So
I can't imagine the logistics that went into planning that event.
I know. That and just, the sleep deprivation and just like the stress and the, like just being in complete awe that we were still like, what are we doing? Like the whole time I was like, I can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're doing this. Like, hey, have you talked to this guy? Have you heard his story? It was like that the whole time.
Wow. And then I would imagine, but you tell me, were there extreme like weather differences wherever you were traveling?
Yeah. So unfortunately we were not able to get into Antarctica. So we still did 7 and 7. We did Cape Town, Africa, and then we did Egypt and Africa as well. But we are going back to Antarctica, I believe, in November, December. So we're gonna check it off. But so that's coming up. So that will be a crazy temperature difference there. But on the trip, it definitely ranged. Like I think London was probably the coldest at about 40 in the 40s Fahrenheit, and then Cartagena, Colombia was 90 plus and humid.
So can you tell us the locations that you went? You said you were in England and then you were in Colombia, Egypt.
Let's see. Yeah. So we were, and then Cape Town, and we ended in Dallas, Texas. Was that 7? And then, Perth, Australia.
Oh, I'd love to go to Australia. How was that?
Yeah. That was amazing. We had some of the local special forces guys there. They came out with their bomb dog and they ran with me in the bomb suit. That was really special. So
how fun. Now, Katie, we are passionate about removing the stigma surrounding mental health here at the EOD Warrior Foundation. Can you tell us, how do you take care of your mental health?
Yeah, so I think it's important to be self-aware and have recognition within yourself when you start to, I call it like kind of going to that dark place. And for me, it kind of feels like a withdrawal. And I start to feel myself pulling away or feeling like I want to be disconnected from those around me. And so when I start to feel that, I recognize that I need to, I have a few people in my life that I turn to, whether it's my mom or my best friend. And, I'll call them and let them know what's going on. They're very aware of what I go through and my struggles. And, so having my support team, and being able to communicate, with them, I think that's, just cutting people in. And that can be very uncomfortable at times, but I think it's important and to know that you're not alone. And so that's usually step one. I think other things that I like to do is,
Yeah, well, that's a great step one. I mean, that is awesome. And it's something that everybody can do. So, being self-aware, and then when you know you need to reach out, you have those people in your life that you can reach out to. So that's great, Katie. And then, I'm sorry, you were going to go on with...
Yeah, no. And then I think just having my routine, going to work, taking care of myself, going to the gym. My gym's definitely my outlet. I like to, shoot guns and go to the gym. Those are like my outlets. And I think I thrive better under a packed schedule. Some people are just like, how do you do so much? And it's like, well, if I just sat and did nothing, I'd go crazy. So I like to constantly be going. I like to surround myself with great people. And once you find that routine of like, you're in your groove, you're driving through life. Like that's a great feeling to have. That coupled with a great support team. And then my dog, Mr. Pickles.
Whoa. What is that name?
His name is Mr. Pickles.
Mr. Pickles. Okay. Mr. Pickles.
90-pound Bernese Mountain Dog. And yeah, he's been with me for the past 3 years. And
how did he get his name?
So it's between that and ravioli. And for me, I just wanted something that would make me laugh because this is my first time having a dog. And I'm in my 30s, and I was like, this is going to be a struggle. So if I name him something funny, then I can remind myself like, hey, it's not that bad.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Like, yeah, what do they say? Laughter is the best medicine. So
yeah,
that was very, very smart of you. Maybe some people will try that out in their future dogs. That's very funny. So you are a female in a male-dominated career field. What is that like for you? And what are some of the challenges that you face, and how do you deal with them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. I know there's some females that are like, oh, just treat me, like, don't ask me questions like that. I just want, I'm not a female, I'm a soldier first. And yeah, that's great. And I definitely agree with that. However, there is a difference, and there is, its own set of challenges. And so I think it's important to talk about it because there are females that are going to, struggle behind me. And if I can, offer some advice or kind of share what I went through, I think that's important. But yeah, so for me, I like to show that I can lead physically from the front for whatever reason. Physical fitness is like a number one indicator of like, how you're going to perform in your job. So for me, being physically fit and being able to hang with the guys, so to speak, that's a big thing for me. It's a way that I can show up, not say anything, and just show that I'm capable. So being physically fit and being able to do any task that they're being asked of me in that capacity, like I'm confident that I'm going to be able to do it. So that's a big one for me. Other things, just being competent in my job. I don't want to demand respect. I want to earn it. And so I think just showing up day after day and doing the right thing and putting my best foot forward and, proving and showing that to my guys or whoever, whatever unit I'm with, that like I am value added here. I'm not a liability, and I'm here to, I'm here to put you guys first. So I think all those things are important, especially as a female. I think sometimes sometimes females can fall into like, oh, I'm a female, so I'm not going to be as strong or as fast or as whatever the case may be, maybe not as capable, but that's just simply not true. Putting, that much more effort into becoming, the person that you want to be and the leader that you want to become will definitely go a long way, and people around you will notice that. So
that's awesome, Katie. And that's great. I think that's a really great point, that there's going to be female EOD techs and probably more and more in the future. So, and then it won't be so unusual, right? Because we'll have more women in the field. So that's a great point that you make. When we spoke earlier, you shared that you held a position as a female commander of the 717th EOD company, which was all men. How was that job, and how do you think your troops viewed you?
It's always funny showing up, and especially being a female and then just being a female commander. It's kind of like dogs sniffing dogs and just kind of like, who is this person? I'm like, who are you guys? And are we going to be cool? And like, it's kind of like this weird transition for a little bit until they're like, okay, I think we're going to be all right. And then, then the relationship can definitely start to flourish. But I think it's definitely there's definitely a trial period. And I think that would be the case if I was, a male or female, but definitely just EOD still, yeah. I mean, we're still, it's all a volunteer. EOD is 100% volunteer. So if people aren't volunteering, if females aren't volunteering, or less females volunteering, that's, but so sometimes, the guys aren't used to it, but I think after that little trial period of trying to figure out who's who in the zoo, we definitely bonded, and like I said, I couldn't have asked for a better group of guys.
Yeah. I love that. And that probably like some shock value. Like you show up and you're their new commander and they're like, what? It has to sink in for a minute. But I remember listening to the podcast when I first started with the foundation on Linda Cox, who is going to be our speaker at the ball. And I cannot wait. But she had, funny stories about her training and what it was like being the first female EOD. But one of the things that really touched me about her story was that she had instructors that absolutely did not want her to graduate. But her fellow students did. They loved her. They supported her. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely great that women are getting in the field and that Linda led the way. And so anyways, yeah, that's awesome. So you are passionate about nutrition and fitness, and mentioned to me before that homeostasis and finding your true north is extremely important to you. Can you tell us what your true north is and what does that mean?
Yeah, so basically it's kind of what we talked about before, of just like recognizing that you're out of whack and how do we get back to center? How do we get back to basically inner peace and being able to thrive in life again? And, that homeostasis and the 7X project and all of that all came about just as far as we recognize that there is a gap between active duty, retiring, and the civilian way of life. Mm-hmm. And so not only is it important to, as an individual, but to also recognize that finding everyone's true north, and especially in this community, especially the EOD community, with everything that they go through, I think we have a lot of work to do as far as the resources and the research and the, what we can provide for everyone to kind of find their way back to their true north. So for me, like I said, it was like my support team and my nutrition, my fitness, my shooting. And everyone's true north is going to be a little different. But, for people like myself and for a lot of the people on the 7X project who have a lot of tools that they go back to, how do we help share that with everybody else? Not only, first line responders, but especially with EOD, I have to, EOD is obviously close to my heart, and, especially, seeing what these guys see and go through and the job that we have, I think it's so important that they understand, like, it's okay to not be okay, but let's get back to how do we get back to being okay.
Yeah. It's so important. So yeah, we're really excited about mental health and kind of removing the stigma, like we said before, from getting help or talking about your feelings, or, there seems to be like almost a stoicism, where you don't want to admit that you're struggling with something because you don't want to seem weak to your community. And, we're just trying to kind of start conversations about that. And so I think it's really important that you're such an advocate in that space. And, it's a holistic approach, right? It's like you take care of your body through nutrition and exercise, but you have to take care of your mind as well, because it's just as important, if not more. So that's a message we're trying to get across, and we're so glad to have you today to share your different experiences that you've had with us, and we're very excited about you possibly being part of our Removing the Stigma panel in Colorado Springs this summer. Again, to kind of just start the conversation about it's okay to need some help sometimes. So thank you so much, Katie. Yeah, thank you thank you for being with us, and thank you for everything that you're doing.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. I love you guys. The EOD Warrior Foundation has been a big part of, my career. You guys have been integrated throughout my career. We have you guys out. We used to have you guys out every year for the EOD memorial workouts. Nice. And so thank you just for being such huge proponents and supporters of the community.
Nice. Thank you so much for that. Well, so we are going to end the interview with a few of your favorite things. Are you ready?
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, what is your favorite, and I think I already know the answer to this question because you've already alluded to it. What is your favorite way to let off steam?
My fitness. I'm involved with the tactical games right now. So it's a combination of fitness and shooting. So I get to do both and compete. So
wow, that sounds wild. Okay. I noticed that you have a lot of tattoos. So what is your favorite tattoo that you have?
Ooh. So all of them are basically like symbology of like life and death. But I have one that I just got. I don't know if you can see it. It's a 7X. And my friend Sam did it while we were in on the project, and we did it at a bar. So, right now,
wow, I love that
7X. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a great story. I love that. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, now what is your favorite food?
Steak.
Steak? Oh, wow. You didn't have to think about that. You're like,
just love steak. Love bread meat.
Do you do it medium well, rare?
Oh, if it's done right, medium rare.
Medium rare. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And the last question, and I only asked one other person this so far. I asked Chelsea Simony, and it was such a funny answer. But what was your favorite car you've ever had?
Okay. 2-part question. So my first, it's honestly my first and my last. My first car was a god-awful looking Ford hatchback. And it's funny because I had sold it while I was in EOD school to a Navy tech, and he got stationed out in Guam. Mm-hmm. And I had followed up with him about the car, and he said that it is now on a training facility in Guam where they practice like blowing up like off the doors and stuff, and they do like V-bids and stuff with it. So that's hilarious. Oh my
gosh, what are the chances of that? That's hilarious.
Yeah, so that's there. And then my last deployment to Afghanistan, I bought myself my dream truck, which is my Ford F-150 Roush Edition. I love it. I'm going to drive it into the ground. So first and last car.
Oh, that is so cool. What color are they?
Oh, they're both black.
Oh, they're both black. Okay. I like black. That's a nice shade for a car. Well, Katie, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for, taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. And I just want to say we wish you the very best in your new career as a major, and we wish you the best in school, and look forward to working with you in creating awareness about mental health and preventing suicide. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And we'll have to keep in touch.
Yes. All right. Well,
all right.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our Behind the Warrior podcast, brought to you by the EOD Warrior Foundation. The EOD Warrior Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization serving the EOD community by providing financial assistance, scholarships, and providing hope and wellness resources for the active duty, reserve, National Guard, retired, and veteran EOD communities and their families. We also honor our fallen and wounded EOD technicians by maintaining the EOD Memorial and Remembrance Garden. We do all this through the generosity of individual and corporate donors and sponsors. If you would like to assist the foundation or support our Behind the Warrior podcast, click the link on our webpage at eodwarriorfoundation.org or contact us at info@eodwarriorfoundation.org. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to tell a friend. The various opinions, beliefs, and viewpoints expressed by guests, contributors, and participants of the Behind the Warrior podcast are their own and are intended for informational purposes only. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions, beliefs, viewpoints, or policies of the EOD Warrior Foundation or its employees and volunteers.